Social proof. I love this one. This is like high school all over again. Remember your mom saying, if your friends were all jumping off a cliff, would you do it too? Yeah, absolutely. Social proof is huge, huge in persuasion strategy. I used to work for a company called Speaking Empire, and people would pay us $10,000 or more per day to teach us how to go and make money from the stage, how to be what? Persuasive from the stage, how to get people rushing to the back of the room to buy their products. And one of the things that we would teach them is testimonials, testimonials, testimonials. Social proof, another word for testimonials, hey, I did it, I liked it, is the biggest, most powerful thing in persuasion that was ever created. Every good advertisement will have testimonials, usually woven in within the advertisement or within the presentation, within the TV show, the magazine, the article, or a presentation from the stage. Absolutely. Why? We are so nervous about being wrong. We have a burning fear inside of us. It's primal of being wrong. It's almost like a survival instinct. Probably is. So, Psych 101 says, we will look to others for clues as to what we should do. Here's the challenge. Other people are clueless too. Remember those guys jumping off the cliff together? So even though we look to others for social proof, they're not very good indicators of whether or not we're going to be successful, but we look to them anyways. So this is why, you'll try to sell somebody an idea and you want to sell them before they leave, because they'll go home and they'll talk to one of their clueless friends who's actually going to get it wrong. But social proof is absolutely huge in getting people to take an action. They want to know that they can be successful. Now let me give you some additional tips on social proof. We like social proof from people that are like us. So the more they're like us, the more we can see ourselves doing the thing. Matter of fact, we most like social proof from people that are dumber than us. Mentally challenged, closed head injury, an arm or a leg missing, something, something, something where we have a huge advantage over them. High school dropout, and you're sitting there with like 4 different degrees, and we're like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. This guy ran a marathon and he had both his legs missing and one arm. There's another guy, he was a high school dropout. He had a closed head injury, PTSD, and I don't know, a scorching case of herpes. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't have all these problems, And he had 6 kids that he was supporting, and he was only making, $5,000 a year on welfare or something, and he still had enough funds to get this going. We want proof from people that we can see ourselves doing it, and if they can do it, wow, we could absolutely crush it. Matter of fact, we could do several multiples of them. So a lot of people get this wrong, and they say, hey, my name is Professor Paul, and I'm a multi-million-dollar internet marketer, and I'm currently making, $3,000 a day using this internet strategy and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, yeah, but this guy's run multi-million-dollar corporations. He's got 4 different degrees. He's got computer expertise. He's got, a marketing team backing him up. He's got all these different things. I don't have that. Of course he's making at least $3,000 a day. He's probably making $50,000 a day. This is just one technique that he's teaching me. That doesn't mean I can do it. So even though you thought that was really impressive and you were kind of bragging about yourself, that's stupid. You should say, hey, I was just like you. Even if you are a damn genius, you should say, hey, I was just like you. I was a dumb kid. I didn't really know what I was doing. I could do it so much better now. I just did these 3 simple things. These are things that, I've got my 7-year-old. He's doing them now. He's starting to take over the family business. He's running this for me, and he's making $3,000 a day. That's the way to do it. Talk about somebody who isn't you. Here's the guy who didn't know anything, didn't get past the 2nd grade, had to drop out to take care of his mom, only had 2 nickels to rub together to keep him warm in the winter, had a closed head injury, an arm and a leg missing. Talk about that guy, and he absolutely crushed it. Matter of fact, he's number 10 on our leaderboard. He's in the top 1% of 1% of people that are crushing it out there using our system. That's how you do it. Social proof, powerful. Now, likability, huge. Remember, We buy from people we know, like, number 2, and trust. So likability. Now look at these 2 pictures. Remember we said you are these things, but you have to show them? Try to figure out which one's more likable and why. I think it's the girl on the left. Why? She's open, she's smiling, she's friendly. The other girl's like, don't hit me because I'm so beautiful. I'm a snub, and you should adore me. That's ridiculous. So she may think she's even prettier or better than the other girl. Do you want somebody that thinks they're prettier or better than you and they're all that in a bag of chips? No. This is why you don't have to be beautiful or attractive to do well in sales. Likability isn't even about how you look. It's, are you open? Are you honest? Are you smiling? It's more about how you're making the other person feel than what you look like. That's why the girl on the left has it all going on. She's open, she's honest, she's fun, she's not worried about her hair, her makeup, her nails. She's just trying to be a good friend to you. Likability is absolutely huge, and if you have this, if this was the only skill you had, you would have major influence with people. So here's some other things that create likability, because again, likability is huge. So I put this statement in here, why do we like one person more than another? And I literally sat down and broke it down into these key categories. First one we just talked about is smile. Sometimes you're happy, but you got to tell your face about it. We even tell people in training seminars for customer service to smile because they can feel it over the phone. They can sense it in your voice and your tone. When you smile, you just act better, you look better, and you're happier. My mom, she always didn't want to smile. She just wanted to kind of grin because she thought her teeth were yellow. You know, back in the 20s and 30s, they didn't have great dental care, right? But I said, Mom, smile. We love pictures of you when you're smiling. Why? Because when you smile, the law of reciprocity says you make other people smile, you make people feel good. It's a transference of feelings, and you want that. Similar traits. I talk about this in other programs, but we know, like, and trust people that are like us, so similar traits are huge. Mutual friends. That's like getting the best reference ever. Oh, any friend of Pete's is a friend of mine. You hear people say things like that. Being outgoing. Outgoing is going to work for you for 2 reasons. 1, the other person is outgoing, so you have a similar trait to them, and they like that about you because you have the good taste to be like them. Or they're not outgoing, but God, they'd love to be. And they like the fact that you're entertaining them, talking to them, cajoling them, playing with them, and you're outgoing so they can enjoy it. And that somebody outgoing is finally talking to them. Body language. In communication, 7% is spoken words in terms of the 100% of communication. 38% is the tone that you use, and 55%, well over half, is body language. So use personable body language. Always be kind, friendly, open with your body language. Matching speed and pace. Again, this is trying to be like people or similar to people. Don't talk really fast when they talk really slow. Similar language. Kind of pick up a couple of the key phrases that they use. Kind of use the same level of IQ in terms of language. If they're talking at a 5th grade level, don't talk at a 20th grade level. If they're talking at a 20th grade level, try not to act like a fifth grader. Kick it up a notch. Being agreeable and open. Think about the opposite of that. You wouldn't like anybody that was disagreeable and closed. Agreeable and open, that's why we like people. And we trust them. Why? Because dishonest people typically aren't open and certainly not agreeable. Like the other person, and this is a key one. You should circle this one. Print this page out and circle it. We like people that have the good sense to like us. It's the leading reason we like people is because they like us. So show a lot of that liking. Don't be thinking in your mind, hey, I really like this guy. So you know what? I don't know what it is about you, Paul. I just like you, man. You're a good guy. And give him a sincere compliment. I like you cuz. Boom. Tell him. Similar IQ. We talked a little bit about that before. People like people that have a relatively same intelligence. So for me, I'm pretty smart. If they're below me, I just dumb it down a little bit. That's okay. Listening and validating. People will pay me $300 an hour just to sit there and listen to them. When I was doing private practice, I charged between $150 and $300 an hour just to sit there for 45 minutes. And a lot of it was just listening to people. Being appreciative. People can go for days, months, weeks, usually months, weeks, and years without ever getting a compliment or somebody saying, hey, I appreciate you doing that. Even when they appreciate it, you'll have bosses that appreciate people. And I think they tell them once a year at Christmas, hey, you've done a great job this year. I want to give you this present. They could have told him that every day. We had an old lady working for us. Her name was Gladys, and my God, we wouldn't have survived the first year without us because she was a genius at running this store. And everybody loved Gladys. She was the best salesperson ever because she had no selling skills whatsoever, but she was open, honest, she liked people, and she was always excited to see you when you walked through the door. We thanked Gladys every day without fail. I still love her in my heart to this day. We thanked her every day before she walked out that door, just for working for us. Thank you so much, Gladys, for coming in today. We had another wonderful day with you. We love you, Gladys. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Show interest. Be interested. Most people, they can't find one person in their life that's interested. Their friends aren't really interested in what they're doing. Their coworkers could give a damn less. Husbands and wives are usually even less interested than that, even though all these things should be exactly the opposite. Proximity is interesting. You will decrease likability if somebody has a wide cone of area that they don't want you coming into. But usually the closer you can get to people, the more they like you. So you want to get as close as you can within their comfort zone, but not getting too much. So go about 80% of the way, 70% of the way, 80% of the way. Obligation, we talked about this in terms of reciprocity. So when you do a favor for somebody and they owe you a favor, they absolutely like you more. And empathy, understanding what's going on for a person, being interested in them and what's going on in their life and sincerely caring about them. That's the ultimate in empathy. Think of it this way. Likability is doing everything that you would do with a good friend. So some other things that boost likability. Similar interests, we talked about that. I had a boss, and the way that he buddied up with everybody that was his buddy played golf. And I'm like, damn, I don't play golf. But I figured it out after a while. I said, oh my God, that's not the problem. That's the solution. I will be the dumb guy that when he goes out with his buddies, everybody can mentor and train him, and I can show appreciation for that. So they'll be so happy to share these skills. They'll feel like they're in the one-up position, which will make them feel absolutely fantastic. They'll be teaching me. They'll have to be in close proximity. They'll have to be sharing skills with me in stories. That creates liking. And I'll be appreciative that they did all this. Perfect formula. I would have been worse off if I knew something about golf. So find out what their similar interests are. If you match to them, go for it. That's perfect. If you don't match, get them to talk about it. Also perfect. This way you don't fall flat being like a typical salesman. Oh, I see you got a picture of, this up on your wall, and yeah, I'm interested in that too. And they're like, yeah, that's just a picture my wife took. And you fall flat. This won't happen when you use my strategies. Similar beliefs and values. So people like people who are like us. We talked about this earlier. So when they're sharing their belief systems, if they say something, you still have to be open and sincere. If they say something that I totally don't buy into, I go, wow, I never thought of it that way. Or that's interesting. I've never heard it presented that way. I don't disagree with them, but I'm not agreeing with them either. When I agree with them, I say, oh my God, that is so true. And I go blah, 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 and I kind of add on to it. And I try to get them to talk more about it. Okay? The longer they talk and the less you talk, the more your star is going to go up. If I had an hour to talk to a client, I would spend like 45 minutes building rapport about, which would be about 90% of the time just listening to them and agreeing with them. And then about 10 minutes presenting on why they should follow my idea, using my tools of influence, and then close them in the last 5 minutes. That's really the formula. Now, physical attractiveness boosts likability. I love this picture because this is actually a Photoshop thing where these are actually the same two guys. The guy just did a little bit with makeup and lighting and stuff, but it's the exact same guy. So you got your before and after picture here. So presentation can be huge. Even if you're not that attractive, you can put a good coat of paint on a bad house and it looks better. So you do what you can. A lot of people say, well, you shouldn't look at what's on the outside. They found that more attractive salespeople, people that were clearly attractive, did something like 60% more sales than the unattractive salesperson. So they say you can't judge a book by a cover. Absolutely you can, and people do. Fair or unfair, it's an advantage. So try to work this advantage to your benefit. Now, I think I mentioned this just briefly earlier, but the best way to put all these skills together that we just finished talking about is to say, if this were a friend of mine, how would I treat them? Oh, I'd be listening to them. I'd be open. I'd be honest. I'd be giving them that social proof. I'd be telling them my stories. I'd be listening to their stories. I would share appreciation. You know, you would do all these tools. The best strategy to be influential is to become a friend and then be a really good friend. And only give them the advice, only influence them in the ways that a friend would. And they will then know you, like you, trust you. And they will buy your ideas, they will buy your products, they will buy your theories, they will buy you. 110%. Best strategy ever, be a great friend to the person you're trying to influence.